How to Draw Cartoons with John-Marc.
Today's lesson, we're going to do this medieval town. All right, let's begin this lesson. And as you'll see, I'm working on 11 by 17 piece of paper, pretty large actually. And this lesson is going to be a real long one, but something that I hope you enjoy, because this is something I'm going to be doing a lot more. I'm getting a lot of requests. So as you can see here, I'm just going to be just creating some really fun sketches for this little medieval town. What you'll notice is I am not following or just using any notes or any images on the side. This is just raw drawing, just what comes to my imagination at the time. From previous lessons I shared this. This is a little challenging, but it's actually a good practice sometimes. Challenge is always a good thing. So this town that I'm working on is kind of give you like a little 2-point perspective view. I'm going to be just sketching out the basic forms here and then coming back and getting them a little bit tighter. Not everything is going to be perfect in perspective. Some things might be visually off, so I'm not going to worry about that because this is just a sketch, like a thumbnail. And feel free to use your imagination if you would like to do something like this and just pull out a magazine or something to help you with reference. But again, I'm not doing that. This is just coming from my little memory bank as an artist. But sometimes you might need that little assistance from time to time, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. But this is just to challenge myself and just try to push the envelope to get a little bit more creative so I'm not copying or flowing from something that I have seen. So what we're going to be working here is like a little bunch of little buildings next to each other, some doors, some windows. I'm going to probably think about what to do in the front. I'm not so sure just yet, but that will come at the time. So like this little overhang, I'm thinking more like a wooden frame and some different window shapes. So they're not always square. Are they made out of stained glass, or they open window and curtains here and there, like the frame for the houses. And now I'm just going to put little structures in the back, kind of look like if it was like towers from a castle, so in the distance or so forth. It's not so much a castle, but just visually what I'm just doing here, I thought would be kind of different than always have the same type of roof structure. A little side there. Let's put a little door here. All right, I like that. What else over here? Yeah, I think we're just about, I like how the village is looking right now. So let me think. Okay, a little rock wall here, maybe. Yeah, coming like from a distance and closer. Okay, yep. So I'm going to have like this little rock wall from a distance coming towards you. And there we go, a little bit. As you notice from the back, far end side, it's a little bit smaller and coming towards you. That perspective, everything will get larger in the foreground. All right, so a little light pole here, or flag, or yeah, let's do a light pole and put a flag on here. Actually, hang a flag on that one. Okay. All right, so this is like the side of the rock wall. And what is, are they on a cliff? Maybe they're on a cliff, on the edge of a cliff that's going way down to the bottom of the valley below. Okay, let's see here. Here's some mountains over here. And a little tree in the distance. All right, what else? Okay, a little bit more trees here, little shrubs. Show like the, all right, so let's get the other side of the bridge here. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do like a bridge. Okay. So this would be another shot from the wall from the other side of the town coming to this bridge areas. From the distance, again, a little narrower in the back and bigger on the front right now. Okay, right here. You know what? Let's make it a little bit smaller here. Make like a little wall here. And what can I think of on here? All right, so a little stepping down, like this little notch there on the far right. But here's, yeah, this is the wooden bridge leading to the town. All right, let's figure that out. Another one, just do a similar block on one side, on the other side, so it complements the feel. You know what I think would be really fun to do? Put a flower pot on these two little cornerstones right there. I like that. Yeah, so I'll put some flowers in there. You can have some ivy maybe growing on the side of the wall if you want to. Some rock structures here and there. And I put the little door and the doorknob in here and there. Some windows. all right, here and there. As you notice it again when I'm drawing something, sometimes I just jump from spot to spot. It's whatever my imagination or creativity is flowing, and I just like jump right over here. I'm like, oh yeah, what about over here? So for me, I'm speaking just for myself, but when I'm drawing, sometimes I'm like bouncing all over the place. And I've seen and worked with a lot of artists who are very similar in that case. So let's put a little sign over here and another one on the top of the door, or that could be a window or sign, either way. You know, instead of having it on the wood, let's make it, if this was material, like a little tent, side tent, that could have been like a place where they keep their woods or fruit on there too. All right, so now I'm coming back to the little the form, because I think I'm going to be doing my step 2 right now versus step 1, getting more detail, a little bit slower. But again, even though I'm doing this, it may not be what I want to see. Some things could be off, and it doesn't bother me. I'm just going to keep on pursuing and getting this one done. Now I can see like these roofs are going to be like maybe not thatch, meaning thatch with the hay. I'm going to make them shingles made out of wood or tile. Okay, and the side here. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's looking good. Yeah, this little cute one here, that could have been like a little town market here. All right, let's get the little side ones here for the window on that one. Okay. Yeah, let's just put the shingles on right now simply. So when I'm putting the shingles on, they may not look perfect, but you know what? It's perfectly fine. I like that. And how I like to do my shingles are not always straight across even. I like to have a little random going up and down and left and right to break down the similar feel. Because this is the old-fashioned medieval little village. Okay, a little shading in there. Oh, shingles, okay. On the side. So what I do on the side here is kind of like they're popping up, but not popping up, but you can kind of see the edge of the actual shingles. All right, here's the doorknob. I like that. Inside step. I like the round doors on the top. It's just weird. To me, it looks more of a cartoony, but definitely for the medieval time, that fits the visual a little bit better. All right, here's another. You know what? I'd like that to be a window, maybe on the top there. And little wood panels on the side there for the door. Okay. Oh, I gotta get some little skinny windows on the side over here. I like that. I'm going to just shade in the windows a little bit so that kind of gives you that feel of the different types of depth and contrast into the picture. So you don't always have to leave line art. Just remember, black is not a bad thing when you're shading or when you're working in inks. Sometimes you don't want to always look like a coloring book flat, and having some gradation and some contrast in there is a good thing. And that's the same thing when doing sketching. Kind of gives it more dimension. And remember, you have the different pencil leads too. I'm working off of my HB one, so it's not so smudgy. But for working, if this was pencils, you have those different graphite pencils and different weights.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now, back to our show.
From the B's being all soft to the F's being a little bit more firmer on that one. HB is a standard 2B, and that's about the same one I have right now. So it's not as smudge as where my hand's over the paper. All right, here's a roof. A little off on the perspective and the angle. That doesn't bother me right now. I can see. I'm just randomly adding that. And then think of it this way. So when you're using the soft lead graphite pencils, you may want to have a piece of paper underneath your palm there. So when you're actually resting it on there, you're not moving it left and right and kind of like doing some gradation or shading with your palm. If you notice, when you turn your hand over, you get all that graphite pencil on your side. Well, that's just because it's a light graphite that you have. It's really smudgeable. So having a paper over it, just a clean piece of paper, you won't have that problem. Easy fix. And yeah, this is all made out of material right there. Yeah, I like that. That's better. That's better. And the tall little it could be an outside stand for fruit or for firewood, like I mentioned before. All right, let's just shade that one in there. That's looking good. I like that. All right, and a little bit in the back. Yeah, this is coming out cute, this little picture. This would be a fun one to actually color on the computer. Clean it up all over, get the angles and the visual nice for that lesson. And that would definitely be a fun, longer one than this pencil. All right, yeah. Sometimes here's a fun little thing to do for yourself. So as I'm continually drawing, I'll just give you some side tips and techniques that I've learned from other masters and professional artists, and I like to implement that sometimes for myself. One of my classes in art school, we had to draw something and within 1 hour stop and put the time and date that we did it, and that just gives us a little benchmark how we are growing as an artist with creativity. Some days will be better, some days will be not as good. And that's the same thing with a runner for a marathon. They need to time themselves and push them to that longer mileage. So you always want to do a 1 mile. You can do that New York Marathon and do the 25 all up there. All right, let's get the lamp in there, a little flag on the top maybe. Yeah, I like that little tiny flag. So a little side tip, so take some standard paper and feel free to randomly throughout the week or however you have time when sketching, and time yourself. And after, maybe you might want to do the first 10 minutes or the next 5 minutes or the first half hour. And then after that, stop. And then when you put a whole bunch of these together and then you'll look at them at the end of the month, you'll be like, wow, you can definitely see the progression and how much you're getting a little bit better as an artist. Okay, here's a little flower pot here. Little flowers here. This is just the standard rock on the top. Yeah, the perspective's wrong here, but it's okay. It's just a thumbnail. All right, let's get some vines hanging over maybe. More periwinkles. All right, let's get some little spikes here and there, random like that. It looks good. Little flowers. Yeah, little dots here and there. Yeah, that'd be really fun. So when thinking of this, just remember there's organic and stuff that can be in the picture, so it doesn't always have to look really stone or wood. Having like plants in there, trees in the background, or even in the foreground, or even having more flowers and shrubs throughout the picture, that can easily give you a little flow on that too. All right, let's just shade in the side of the walls here. I like that a little bit better. Looking good. All right, we still got a long ways to go, but I'm hoping you're enjoying this lesson, some of the tips I had to share with you. All right, so if this is like all stones here and there, I'm just going to randomly do like a here or there. There we go. Kind of just randomly throughout the little village there. All right, yes, yes, yes. Okay. So just get the little lines here for maybe more detail on the awning there. Okay. Yeah, what should we do here on the side here? Okay, let me just shade this side here too. There we go. That's better. That's better. Okay, good, good, good. So the top part where it'd be light and the sides, I can see myself in the cleaning this up. This rock wall wouldn't be flat like that. Might have rocks randomly building it like a rock wall. But this is just giving me a placement that I can actually note that. And here I'm just doing like that little ledge, kind of high up on the mountaintop.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now, back to our show.
Yeah, the little stones here and there, randomly placing them. Okay, rocks here, and then shaded the end, the ones that are just look like they're overhanging. Oops. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so when working on the 11 by 17, and it's nice for me because it looks like a letterbox. So when you're doing storyboards, normally you wouldn't do them this large. You can do them like a tenth the size, actually, very, very small. And it's just a good practice to be able to do on both large and small scale. And what I mean by that is another practical lesson that we've learned was taking 1 inch by 1 inch squares and create pictures or patterns in there. And we had a whole week to finish like close to 100 different squares. And it's a lot of work, but at the same time, it's the creativity. And that's just what my point was, is with the rock wall here, I might have had a whole bunch of squares with brick walls, stonework, flagstone, or if it's limestone, depending on how it is, and put a wall in front and just get that feel. That does help, I enjoy doing those little 1 inch by 1 inch squares and just creating what's ever in them. There's no ever two are alike. All right, I've got the flower pot on this side a little bit more. I like that. It's looking good. Yeah, get a little bit more. Oh yeah, let's get some like rings, like handles on both sides. I like that. Thinking of that. Yeah, like I did on that last one too. All right, that's looking good. I like that. Yep. Hope you're enjoying this one right now. And if you notice, a lot of times what I don't do is I don't add any objects like people or animals in my pictures in the backgrounds or the foregrounds of wherever I may be. And that's just due to preference. But if I had to add somebody, I can always add that in on another layer. I'm just here just giving my quick rendition to a background or a village or a town or an object. If it's a house or a castle. Yes, you're going to see more castles in the future because I so enjoy them, walking through them in Europe. All right, look, there was a wooden planks here. Okay, there we go. That's looking good. I like that. A little the rings in the wood. Okay, yeah. Okay, so what else? There's a little bit more shadow on that side too. Okay, just sit back and take a little breather and stretch your eyes and see if you're enjoying what you're doing, and if you may want to change anything. Just remember, you can have a piece of paper on the side and make notes as you're going right now. So you might like, you know what? The wall is going to be more stony, not just like a poured cement. And those little notes on the side so you can remember, come back. Let's get this house, the little roof with the little top there. Okay. All right. The side one's a little bit heavier now. You can keep on pushing that level from step number 2, as I say, to step 3, like the final drawing phase to it right now. All right. Color in those windows here. You see the contrast, it kind of stands out, helps the picture if instead of just having outline for the actual drawing right now. Okay, here's the eyes. What we're going to do is going to be wide open or closed. You know, you can make houses. That would be really fun. Just thinking of that. Just not right now, that top window kind of looks like a mouth on that house right here I'm working on. So imagine if you had 2 windows with oval feel. One could be open or closed. You could make it feel like a character of the house is actually a living, breathing character, having a face and arms can stand up and like a little robot. But that's just being creative and use your imagination. Anything is possible. And here's another one in a far distance. So sometimes you're going to have objects, and it's good to remember on one of my previous lessons, I shared with you what the foreground, midground, background, and like with the sky, how that looks in my head and my mind. Even though this looks flat to me right now, I kind of can put into play how it would rotate and feel for those different angle shots. But also that helps in understanding the depth of field when you're working. Placement, size orientation. So a house way far back should not be the same, of course, as the little house in the front there. And I could have like a big branch in the middle, right in the 4-4 foreground. And then when you're zooming in, the branch would be moving either left or right, depending on how you have it. That's like you're just doing a roll in on the camera. All right, so let's get that little background cleaned up a little bit more. Okay, put another side of the building. Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's good. Okay, thinking as I go. Yeah, so again, it's challenging when working on this when you're have nothing to go off from or visually see. So when doing it, it's a good practice, like I shared in the very beginning. The more you practice, the better you'll become, the better you become. Practice makes perfect for an artist. Keep that process going. Right. Yeah, I still have a little ways to go in my mind that I want to finish this little drawing. Not so sure when I reach that level, I'm going to just say done. But this one here, I'm enjoying doing this one. I definitely want to clean it up and change some of the structures and the angles and the feel for it. But this was definitely one to go into the background folder that I have created. All right, let's shade in most parts for North Carolina right now. Here, this little village is not in medieval. It's in North Carolina, down the street from where I live. That's what I'm going to believe, using your creativity. That's the fun part. You can imagine it could be in Europe, but right now it's in North Carolina. Or it could be in your home state. Where is that? Where's your home state? Where's your town? This town is near. It could be the old village in Waxhaw, North Carolina. Okay, a little bit more of a mountains and trees and other structures here. A little smaller one way, 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 way in the background there. That's fun. I like that. Little small building. That could be a clock tower. That could be where the toy manufacturer makes all the toys in the background there. That's it. Got to make that one really big for all the toys. All right, let's get that little shading on there, a little shadowing more. Here we go. Here we go. That's looking good. I'm just going to shade on the side there, and I'll shade on the side there. There we go. Get some contrast again. I like that. Little more tower windows. Yeah. All right. So what we're gonna do? Let's clean up this tree over here really quick. Yeah, I like the big like oak trees. Pine trees are nice too. You have a whole field of pine trees. For right now, there we go. Okay, little spots again. There's my spots on my trees. I like that. Gives a little character. And I have another tree in the distance here. Kind of like broken branches or whatever, and some leaves might be missing. There doesn't always have to be perfect. Like, yeah, think of it at the same time. You could be drawing something like this of a small town and having them working on our structure that's being built. Doesn't have to be complete. Here's some trees in the background. The hill goes down. Okay. Let's get some shrubs in the far distance there on the other side of there. Okay, a little grass on top of the shrubs. I like that. Looking good. Let's break some of the blocks up so they're not just look like one long block. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Yeah, see that little accent right there? What I just with the blocks. You see what that just did? Instead of having a totally smooth one layer, by breaking them up to like a oversized brick, gave some more dimension in there. And again, just remember when they're further away, they're going to be tighter together, and when they're coming closer to you, the lines are going to be further apart to give that perspective, that little depth. Let's get some little stones here and there in between. Okay, more on there. Okay, that side and this one here. Remember when you're cropping, don't be afraid of cropping. You don't have to put the entire and changing the angle. So this one's straight on perspective. You could tilt it a little bit up or down. That gives a mood for sure. All right, I think this is looking good. What more to add on here? Let's add some clouds in the far distance or some trees here, but just something in the background so you can kind of feel that depth. And what I like to do also with my backgrounds at time is blur them out. So when you're focusing on like that, the plants on the bridge there from a distance, you might want to start to blur out some of this stuff so it looks like your eye is focusing really close to an object, but everything else in the background is kind of blur. That's the difference between working on the computer and traditionally. This is all traditionally. You can have that same feel doing traditionally. All that you're just really doing is you're going to have to draw and feel the so there's not sharp edges on it. But working on the computer, you can just go right to the filter and change the pretty much done. I like what I have. So let's sign, date, share with your family and friends. I hope you enjoy this lesson and have a great day.